Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear?
Yeah. This is Heather on her wedding day. She was a beautiful girl, tall and slim. She was 6 feet and long legs and long arms. She could slam the volleyball down with those long arms of hers. And she loved being tall. She loved every minute of it. So she was a beautiful girl. So I had the pleasure of keeping my little granddaughters. When she got pregnant with Charlie, I left my job to keep Charlie, and I stayed in Rock Hill, as it's with traffic, it's a long drive, every day. So I stayed at Heather's to keep Charlie. So the last 4 years of Heather's life, I got to live with her during the week, and at night she would come in and lay in the bed with me and tell me good night. And she would, most nights she would cuddle with me and tell me she loved me. Mommy, I love you. And those were precious, precious times. Little did I know that those were how precious they were going to be to me. And little did I know that me quitting my job to keep these little girls was God training me to know them like a mother would know them, so that I could step into Heather's place and help teach them and grow them into the sweet little girls that they're becoming, so that I could help Connor raise them. God knew. He knew that I was going to need to step in and help raise these precious little girls. Oh. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone.
Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need someone to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
You will be found.
Two. Was it fun? You gonna do it again?
About her family. loving her family, loving life. She loved God. She loved her husband. She loved her children. She loved her mom, her dad. She loved her nieces. She loved everyone around her. She loved her job. She loved helping people, especially the underdog. From a very little girl, she found the person around her that was being picked on, and she went to help them. And I think that's probably why she went into law, was just to make sure that everyone was treated equal. She was about helping people and loving people.
In this joy and perfect peace, earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive. And oh, happy day, you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same.
Heather fell in love with elephants when she was 2, and her dad and I took her to Miami Metro Zoo. We lived in Fort Lauderdale at the time. That's where Heather was born. And we went to Miami Metro, and they were giving elephant rides. And Heather wanted to ride the big onk-onk, that's what she called him. So we put her up on there, on the big old elephant with a couple other little kids. And of course she was the smallest. The other kids were in elementary school, and here was this little 2-year-old. And I'm not even sure if she was even 2 yet, but I thought she was gonna for sure chicken out and not get up on there. But she got on this big elephant, and they rode around in a big circle. And of course I was scared to death she was gonna fall, but she absolutely loved it. And so every time we saw an elephant, on a billboard or in a magazine or in the store, she wanted the onk-onks. She just fell in love with onk-onks. So she collected onk-onks and wore onk-onk shirts, pants. Everything was onk-onks for the rest of her life. Sleep on those trips, but she was a good traveler, but she would just find things to amuse herself. And one time she was quiet for quite a while, and so Jeff and I both turned around to look in the back seat to see what she was doing, and she had waited until we turned around to look, and she had stuffed a gummy bear in each nostril, and when we turned around she went and blew each gummy bear across the back seat. We knew then that we were probably headed for trouble.
To the moon and back for you. I promise, satellites falling and gravity pulling won't change my mind. And I promise, meteors crashing into the darkness, I will go.
For her, she was younger and she couldn't walk yet, but I think I was boiling some pasta and the steam was rising up, and I had her on my hip and I walked into the kitchen and she pointed to the pot and she said, "Look, Mommy, holy smoke." She just said cute things like that.
And suddenly I saw the truth, how small my body is and how big my heart.
Heather started at Covenant Day the year the school started. That was her first year kindergarten. And Mr. Helmer was her volleyball coach, and she loved Mr. Helmer. And that's really who taught her to play volleyball.
Won't change my mind, and I promise meet us crashing into the darkness. I will go, and I promise satellites falling and gravity pulling won't change my mind.
Just having a bad game, and Coach Jones was yelling at her, and she just, started crying, which she doesn't do very often. But he finally, Coach Jones, got in her face and said, "When you're ready to play, you tell me when you're ready to play. Just get on the bench and sit." And so she went out of the game, which she didn't come out of the game very often, and she sat on the bench and she just started crying. Every little bit he'd walk down the bench and look at her and say, "You ready to play?" Real mean, and just yell at her, and he didn't yell at any of the other players, just her. And then she'd look up and just start crying, and he'd go, "Cut it, dry those tears, cut that out." And then a little bit later he'd say, "You ready to play?" And she'd look up and still crying. And so then finally it went on. She finally went back in the game or whatever. Well, after the game, a mother from the opposing team came up to her and said, and I was standing right there, and said, "Does your coach always yell at you like that?" And she says, "I sure wouldn't take it," and looked at me and said, you need to complain, the headmaster, about that." And Heather looked at the mother and said, "Oh, he always treats me like that. Even when we're not playing basketball, he yells at me like that." And the mother went, and Heather said, "But it's okay. He's my uncle."
Father's will, he took a crown of thorns. Oh, that rugged cross, my salvation, where your love poured out over me. Now my soul cries out, hallelujah, praise and honor unto thee.
Heather and Connor met in college, and she finally chose Pfeiffer University because she had decided to study law. And they had a very good program, and she really liked the volleyball coach there. And she decided she was going to double major in criminal justice and pre-law. So she really chose it for her academics, and because Covenant was 6 hours away, and I really didn't want her to go that far away from Mommy. But I remember going up there, and she had to go up early because of volleyball, and so she went up there before the other students. And also the soccer players, the men's soccer team, had to go up early because they had to be there for soccer camp. I went up there later on to help her get registered for school. While we were in line, she introduced me to one of her friends who was on scholarship for soccer, and it was a boy named Connor. And she says, yeah, he's just a friend, so I introduced him, and then we just went on through registration. Well, that fall break, she said, Mom, there's a guy named Connor, and I said, oh, I think I met him in the registration line. And she said, yeah. She says, well, he lives in Ireland, and he has to stay here because of his soccer, and he doesn't have a place to go. Can he stay at our house over fall break? And I said, oh, well, sure, that's fine. And she says, because he can't travel all the way back to Ireland just for, a week and a half or, whatever. I said, sure. So she brings this strange guy named Connor home and leaves him at our house over fall break while she goes off to the mountains with her girlfriend. So I'm stuck, and my husband, we're both stuck with this guy we didn't know for 2 weeks, and Heather's nowhere to be found. Well, same thing happened at spring break. She says, Mom, that guy Connor needs a place to stay for spring break. I said, okay, sure. So she brings him home, and then she leaves and goes to the beach with her girlfriends. And that's the way it was for like the next 2 years. She had absolutely no interest in this guy named Connor. And then by junior year, she's dating this guy named Connor. And come to find out, he liked her the whole entire time and was hoping maybe she would stay home some of these breaks. But she never. Girls. Heather's girls. Well, Charlie is the oldest. She is just turned 5, and she is a lot like her mom. She is bossy, in charge, but she is precious. She wants to be a good girl all the time. She's sweet, loving, affectionate. She's very sensitive, and she loves her daddy. Then we have the twins, who are just turned 4, and they won. The older of the twins is Remy. She is a nut. She's the crazy, kooky part of Heather. And she's just a free spirit little girl. And every day when she comes home from school, now that it's getting warmer, she strips down, puts her bathing suit on, and is ready to go to the beach, which we do not live anywhere near. And she's a sweet little girl and loves to cuddle. And then there's Riley, who is another little mother boss, and she is the most affectionate little girl. She's so happy to see everybody that walks in the door. She runs up to give you a hug all the time. All 3 of the little girls together make one Heather. It's like God knew that they were going to either have to make 3 little girls to make one Heather. And so all of them combined make the perfect Heather.
Don't let it fade away. This tiny voice, it may not be perfect, but I know that it's got some good things to say. This tiny voice, humble and quiet, don't turn away from a tiny voice. I know I'm not done now. I'm letting it stand out a bit at a time. This
Twins, and this is the big sister Charlie. Little boy with a fit right